Hello Year 5, here is the video lesson to go with the second science lesson of the term, which is Forces Lesson 2. And our key question for this lesson is, what is the effect of friction? Before we start, let's have a quick think back to last week when we answered the question, what are contact forces? So you should be able to tell me what contact forces are and give me some examples. Tell me about opposing forces, so which forces act against each other. You should be able to recognise what a force diagram is, and you might have even had a go at drawing your own. And then some of you would have looked at whether forces are balanced and unbalanced, and how you can show this on your force diagram. Today though, we're going to look at these three learning objectives within our key question. So we're going to start by identifying when friction acts on objects, so at the point at which friction acts. Then we're going to look at illustrating forces acting on objects. That's looking back to force diagrams. Can we illustrate the work we've done with friction? Can you show that on a force diagram? And then finally, investigating the uses of friction. So when friction is used in different situations, whether it's a good thing or whether it's a bad thing. And the main thing we're looking at today is a practical task. Now, do try this at home. This is something that I've done at home. I'll try to do it in a way that you can do it at home as well. So you have to watch on in the video and see how it's done. Okay, so we're going to use our key question. We're going to adapt it slightly, and we're going to say, what is the effect of friction on a moving vehicle? So, if we think about which surface exerts the greatest friction, which surface or material exerts the greatest friction on a moving vehicle, what would we expect the friction to do? Now, if we were to investigate this in school, we could use more technical equipment, like using a force meter to measure the force required to pull an object over different surfaces. So we could pull an object with a force meter attached, and we could see which surface requires the greatest force in order to pull the object. However, if you're like me and don't have a force meter kicking about at home, we can adapt that and still do a similar investigation. We're going to measure how far a vehicle travels over different surfaces. So we'll talk about how to set up the investigation in a moment. As I said, this is something you can do at home. But before we begin, we need to make a statement. We need to make a prediction or a hypothesis. Now, I've said here, the greater the friction, the less distance the vehicle will travel. Now I need to be able to explain this. I need to be able to say why I believe this will happen. Well, I know that friction can work as an opposing force, and if the vehicle is moving, then friction will move against the vehicle. It will slow the vehicle down. So the greater the friction, the less distance then the vehicle will be able to travel. So I need to decide out of my options. And again, the options that I'm going to use in my investigation, you can use different ones, whatever you've got around the house. We'll look at those in a moment. But which surface will exert the least or the greatest friction? And why do you think that is? Once you've made your prediction, your hypothesis, you describe what you think will happen, explain why, then you can complete your investigation. Once your investigation is complete, then you can do your conclusion or your analysis. So that is looking at what your results show. Was it correct, what you predicted? Was it incorrect? The scientists often find that what they predicted was in fact incorrect. So it's looking then at what would you do differently the next time? How could you have improved your investigation? Was your investigation fair? Now, as I said, my investigation, it'll be things that I've used from around the house. So we're going to have a look at the next picture. Here's my equipment list for the investigation. So I've got a ramp. Now you can make your ramp out of books, have one book on an angle and a pile of books to support it at the top end. You could do a piece of cardboard, a cereal box, anything you've got lying around the house you could use. A vehicle, now this could be as simple as a toy car. You'll see what I'm using in a moment. Anything with wheels, something small though, something you can use within the house. A tape measure or something similar. I don't have a meter ruler at home personally, but you might. But a tape measure will work just as well. And then you'll need some different surfaces or materials. So this could be something out of the kitchen drawers. So now I've made my prediction. I've gone through the equipment list, how I'll try and make it a fair test, and the method will follow, because now it's time to investigate. Sit back and enjoy. Okay, so we're all set up with our different surfaces now. We've got some paper, some grease-proof paper. We've got some tin foil. We've got some plastic here, a plastic mat. We've got the foam squares underneath. We've got the wood laminate flooring. We've got our tape measure set up there to measure the distance. We've got our vehicle, Thomas, there, number 1. We've got our ramp set up, which comes with added music.
Welcome to the garage. Here's a parking ticket, drive on through. Enjoy your stay, there is so much to do. Please find a parking space.
That's my jam. And we've got some adoring fans as well. We've got the race car, the tow truck, the monster truck, the digger, the aeroplane, the bus. We've got some tourists here today to watch the investigation. We've got the Gruffalo, who always enjoys a bit of science. We've got Squeaky Lion. We've got the dragon. We've got Pepper and George, who are watching from Ben and Holly's castle. We've got the Man United giraffe, who is there with his sponsored Stanley Learning Partnership drink. And as well as our adoring fans here today to watch the investigation, we've got a little helper who's definitely going to help and not make things 10 times harder. So the method for each repetition will be as such. We will hold Thomas positioned at the top of the ramp where it meets the platform. He'll be held in position and then released down the ramp. And we will each time use this very technical tool to measure how far he's travelled. So in that instance there, it was 130 centimetres exactly.
He rolled it.
He didn't roll it, you rolled it. And that will be the method for each repetition. So the second attempt, using the foam, so he's in position there, carefully held. Oh, that was impressive that time, Thomas. Let's see the distance. That was 102 centimetres. Third attempt with the foam. Oh, less again. So that distance there was 87 centimetres. Okay, now to the plastic mat. 3 attempts with this surface. Good one, Thomas. Let's see how far he's travelled here. That is 115 centimetres. The second attempt. Let's see how far he's travelled here. Not quite as far that time. That is 97 centimetres. 97. And the third attempt with the plastic mat. Less again. It's 82 centimetres. The grease-proof paper now. 3 attempts for this. The runway there, set up. Oh! He's gone all the way to the end, which must mean he's on, under the bus there, 153 centimetres. 153 centimetres there for the first go. The second attempt with the paper. He's gone off piste there. He's reached 113. Third attempt with the paper. Clearly there again. It's gone a great distance. So let's see, under the giraffe's leg, we've got 145 centimetres there for the final attempt. Onto the foil now. The first attempt. He's come off the tracks of it there, but that is 70 centimetres. Second go with the foil. That's much greater distance that time. Now you stayed on the tracks. That is 125 centimetres that time with the foil. The third attempt with the foil. Let's see how far he's travelled that time. That is 107 centimetres. Final surface here, which is the laminate wooden flooring. There's currently an obstacle on the track. Sophie, can you move please? Let's go. Oh, impressive. That's the full 160 centimetres. Possibly would have gone more, so we can chalk that down as 160. Second attempt with the wooden flooring. Oh, and it's the full distance again. The third and final attempt with the wood. And that's conclusive. It's gone the full distance 3 times in a row. The crowd goes absolutely wild. Look at them there.
Hi, Daddy.
Any video wouldn't be complete without the bloopers. There's a lot of this. Thomas just didn't quite make his way back every time, did he? Go. Oh, sneaky. Going for the reverse up the ramp. Alright, so it's conclusive then. Thanks, Thomas, for all your work.
He did good work.
Yeah, he did good work, didn't he? So, Sophie, can you tell us, when did Thomas score the furthest? Was it with the mats? Was it with the plastic? Was it with the paper or the foil? Or was it on the wood?
It was on the wood.
Oh, good science, well done. It was indeed. So the wood, there was less friction acting on Thomas when he was travelling along the wood. So we're now in a position to make our conclusion, look at the results. Now, there were certain things there that weren't perfect with that investigation, were there? You could see there were times when the vehicle didn't quite go straight. That was a problem. Perhaps that didn't make it fair. Particularly with one surface there, with the laminate wood flooring, you could see that Thomas, in fact, went further than I expected. So we can't actually see accurately how far Thomas would have travelled because the sofa was in the way. So if I were to do this investigation again, I would perhaps start from further back so I could see exactly how far Thomas would have travelled on the wood flooring. So when you do your investigation, bear those things in mind and think afterwards as well. What could you have done differently with your investigation? And were you proved correct? So what's next? Well, what is the effect of friction? Can you answer that key question? Now, the 3 things that you can look through for your work at home: complete the investigation yourself with a family member. What did your results show? And remember, at what point or points was friction acting on the vehicle? Can you say specifically where on the vehicle the friction is acting as well? That's really important for the next part as well, which is to draw force diagrams. Okay, so be specific with your diagram. Where is the friction acting on the vehicle? Which other forces were acting? Which forces were acting as the vehicle moved down the ramp? Which forces were acting as the vehicle moved across the floor? Which forces were opposing? Then can you create a mind map all about friction? So which other examples can you find of friction in action? And what are the advantages of friction in these situations, or the disadvantages? So when you've finished, you can upload a document or a picture of your work to Teams. And if you want to learn a bit more or have a bit more practice or a bit more support, there are 2 really good websites you can use here. The first one, the BBC Bite Size. So if you put the text in black, if you Google that, it will come up with the page, or there is the web address there, and that is this page here. It will look like this. Thanks again, Gruffalo. The second one, Duxters. So if you type in Duxters friction into Google, it will come up with this site here, which I'll show you. Yeah, that's what it will look like, with some diagrams on there as well. So that's it for today's video lesson. Really looking forward to seeing pictures of you in action with your science at home. Bye for now.